Bird, 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 bird. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. Yeah! Ron Babe was right. Ron Babe was right.
I'm feeling spry. Hey everybody, it's Ron Bain with the Hunting Dog Podcast. It's the 22nd of December. This is going to be another short intro. I know you're going to say, oh, bullshit, Ron. It always ends up being 10, 12, 15 minutes. No, I told you I was going to get the trivia episode done. I got it done last night. Had a great cast of characters. We had terrible scoring, though. I think our winner only got 3 out of 10. So let's see if you can beat our winner. And if you can, rate me. Maybe I'll have you come on the next one because I got to get some more. I figured these dog people, maybe my questions are too tough. I don't know. I made more of a multiple choice. You got a 1 out of 4 chance, kind of like how I went through high school with tests. That was only true and false. Anyway, always thank my Patreon patrons first and foremost. Pike Gear, my title sponsor, Onyx Maps, Boss Shot Shells, Waltons, Gunner Kennels, Garmin, W Hunting Supply, Deck Drawer Systems, Weatherby Shotguns, Purina Pro Plan, and Canine Athlete. So there. How was that? That painless? I think it was painless. It was like 1 minute and 11 seconds. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode. Play along. Let me know if you're doing better than these guys, okay? Write me an email. Write to ronb@thehuntingdogpodcast.com and just let me know. Maybe I'm making these things too tough. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Enjoy. I love you guys. I love you girls. And I love you girls more.
I hung out with him for a weekend. That didn't help.
No, well, you absolutely. I expect certain people to always do good with certain questions. And I have found after this will be my 6th trivia podcast that I was amazed at how many people in the dog industry don't know diddly.
Ron ask questions that are like, you got to be 60 and older now.
Well, okay, and I have been accused of that, Trent, that they're kind of like questions that you would know, and there's going to be a couple of them. But what I've done here is in more than not, I've included multiple choices. So now we're back to high school. Hey, I got a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Multiple guess.
Yeah. So I'm going to reintroduce, because I hit the recording button, Trent Hardy and his wife, Vanna White, who's keeping score for us tonight, and Tyler Webster from Birds, Booze, and Buds, Travis Frank from The Flush and The Flush Podcast, Bob Owen from Lone Duck. I am not going to remember all that. Everybody knows Bob. If you know anything about Labradors, and God help you if you get a Labrador question wrong, Bob. It's
I know.
Really, and it's not going to be what dog was buried in Illinois that was on the duck stamp, because even I know that.
I have no idea. I don't know that question.
Ben Brennington from Onyx and Greg Blair from Purina. So I expect, I modeled this. Well, actually, I think Tyler can back me up on this. We had a trivia game way before Meat Eater had a trivia game.
They copied us.
And they knew that was a good idea. Now, what they have on their side is engineering and professionalism.
We don't have any of that.
what we have on our side is a bunch of real people who really hunt, right? Okay. We're out there we're just not making gravy all day long. And
we also have some libations that help.
Yeah. Yes. And I got to get rid of this one too before we start. I got a good beer.
Yeah, your tagline should be, "This is the only trivia podcast where drinking always wins."
Very good. Very good, Trent. And headaches always ensue.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you believe I'm buying a beer that costs $10.99 a 6-pack? That is so
God. Life must be good.
Keweenaw.
Keweenaw.
That's a good one.
Yeah, this is called the Widowmaker. And it's actually not really it's not much higher alcohol than Miller Lite, but it's a brown beer, like a dark brown beer. And for some reason my palate has changed over 40 years, and I love that stuff.
Living high on the hog there, Ron.
Yeah, I don't want to say things are good, Travis, but I'm thinking they're pretty good. Okay. I think we're doing all right. Anyway, so the Hunting Dog Podcast Trivia is based on the 5 verticals. See where I'm borrowing that from, of upland hunters, which are dogs, guns, birds of all kinds, alcohol, and tobacco. So we're not going to venture too far from that. Occasionally, like a tiebreaker question might be like how many gallons of beer in a year does one of our participants consume, which will be a closest to, closest answer will win.
Over/under.
Yeah. So Heather, to keep track of, I'm going to go on my screen. I'm going to go from Trent to Tyler, to Travis to Bob, to Greg to Ben. That's just the way it looks on my screen.
It's the exact opposite of ours.
Well, you keep score anyway.
I'll get it. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you, Vanna. All right. Here we go. All right. The first question. What state east of the Mississippi has the most roadless acres of public land that you could find a rough grouse in? What state?
Travis, do you say your name, or how do you beep in?
No, you're going to all get a chance to do it, and I'm going to give you 3 choices because I know most of you are too dumb to come up with this.
Oh, guess.
What
Are we
state?
writing this down and holding it up, Ron, or are we just saying it?
No, you just write it down and hold it up, and I got to trust you not Googling anything. All right, but you should be able to write it down and hold it up.
Hold on, I gotta go get a piece of paper. I'll be right back.
Crap.
Yeah.
Look, you're giving all these people Google time.
In our pre-meeting or whatever, you could have gone over this.
I thought everybody knew it. You know how I am. I assume a lot of shit. That's how you make an ass out of you and me. Hey, Greg, are you coming to Pheasant Fest?
No, I'll probably either still be at or getting done with All Age National. That's not one of my responsibilities.
Oh, damn it. So, Carl's going to be there?
The whole same team, Carl and Terry and Tracy and Courtney, there'll be the same people, Gail.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Ben, are you guys coming to Pheasant Fest? Are you going to be
Ben's
there?
gone. Ben did.
Sure am.
We lost Ben. Okay. Does everybody else have a pen and paper or a Sharpie and a paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So the state east of the Mississippi that has the most roadless acres of public lands, West Virginia, North Carolina, or Virginia? What state east of the Mississippi has the most roadless acres of public land? West Virginia, North Carolina, or Virginia? Pretty simple. I'm making it.
Okay, so I got to scratch out my first answer because that wasn't one of the 3 choices.
Me too.
Yeah. Jesus.
Did you go with Maine, Tyler?
No,
I said Maine.
I went with Michigan, but West Virginia.
Oh,
West Virginia.
West Virginia. Ben, what do you got?
He's got West Virginia.
North Carolina.
And we don't have a winner on this round, Heather.
Oh.
Virginia has the most
Interesting.
394,000 acres compared to North Carolina at 172. West Virginia at 202,000.
Michigan doesn't have more than that?
The key word was roadless.
Roadless. Right.
Yeah, the UP, I was thinking, but
And
anyways.
the UP's got a gazillion roads.
Well,
Sure.
Maine.
How about the North Maine woods? That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
no
about
roadless.
That's
Yeah.
about
Well,
equal
and
to a
Maine's this
little-
big.
Yeah, Maine's about that big compared to a chunk of Virginia. Yeah. Yeah, sorry there. We don't need a scoreboard update because nobody has a correct answer. All right.
Still in it.
All right. This is a dog question. The Westminster Dog Show, over its history, has only had 20 winners in the sporting group. 20 winners in the sporting group. We all know that little terriers and frou-frous and Pekingese wins. But over the years, in the sporting group, what breed of dog has the most wins at Westminster? The choices are German Shorthair Pointers, Pointers or English Pointers, Cockers or English Cockers, or English Springer Spaniels.
Damn it. That's two in a row that I wrote down an answer that doesn't exist. One of them.
You know, that just means that you're always a little premature on your decisions, Tyler.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, the possibilities are English Springer Spaniels, Cocker Spaniels, Pointers, or German Shorthair Pointers over the history of the Westminster Dog Show. I don't have a little bell or a timer because I don't have an engineer and a soundboard, but here we go. We got GSP, Springer Spaniel, Cocker, GSP, English Springer, Springer Spaniels, and GSP. Travis and Ben are on the board with English Springer Spaniels.
All right.
English Springer Spaniels. So English Springer Spaniels have won 5 times in the history of Westminster. Cocker Spaniels have won 4 times. Pointers have won 3 times. And German Shorthair Pointers have won twice. The last one being CJ.
CJ.
Yeah.
2016. Who I tried to get the owner on when I started my podcast in year 2. I tried to get her on, and apparently she wasn't much into talking about hunting with her German Shorthair.
Makes sense.
With our show dog.
Yeah.
Unreal.
But
It's unfortunate.
to that it is, but to that point, a girl that I was working on a project with, who's a breeder and a hunter, and I think Tyler, I told you about her and her husband. I met them for a day up in North Dakota. And she's had her dogs at Westminster, and her dogs are related to CJ in a little bit of lineage. But she does every dog of theirs hunts and titles and does the show. And I have had a lot of people that write me and talk about stuff. And I think people forget about the conformation and focus on performance too much. And Greg, you might, I don't know if this hits the pointer setter world and the trial world, but when angulation and stuff is not paid attention to generations,
Right.
and we have an onslaught of ACL problems in dogs, how do you feel about that, Greg?
The attention needs to be paid to it, not to the extent that probably they are. There's definitely a reason why most of the conformation dogs aren't the big high-powered field trial dogs. I mean, look at the pointer, for example. None of us picked pointer.
Right,
You know,
and I
yes.
thought you would have. Yeah.
No, I mean, it didn't even cross my mind because they are so far away from what our performance dogs are.
Yeah.
So now are you breeding towards, I need them this many inches, that many quarters, this square box? Or are you breeding them to run 3 hours in a field? You and I talked about this on our podcast.
Yeah.
On what they're actually historically bred to do, to use their nose, to find game, to stand there. What we find is those dogs that aren't put together well aren't going to last, aren't going to be bred, and eventually will be passed on by other dogs that will be bred.
So it's kind of like its own way of vetting the structure.
The strong survive, but there are some breeds that are very, the Irish setters, the Brittany's, some of those groups, the wire hairs, they'll have actual specialty shows at their field trials.
Right,
So
right.
There are some that do it.
Right. Now, Bob, go into labs because you're our lab technician here. My daughter has a lab that's already blown out one ACL and the other one's starting to go a little bit. Are you seeing that in the lab world too?
Yeah, we definitely see a good bit of it. They're so athletic, they're moving and shaking, and just the one wrong move can happen. And then along with that, like you said, the other one's starting to go, every vet will tell you once you blow one knee, start saving for the second.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, on that, what is the anticipated time out of the field when they blow one?
Probably 6 months.
I would say 6. I think it's 6 months.
Minimum, I think.
Yeah, the PT with swimming and all sorts of stuff that you can do may minimize it, but I think it's 6 months.
I've got a setter laying right next to me that had it done in October or September of last year. And Dr. Dunbar put me on a regiment of 6 months of just rehab, let alone trying to make him perform.
Competing.
Well, and I think a lot of the reason why they blow that second one is because when that one goes, they put a lot of extra pressure on that other one while that one is rehabbing as well.
Right. Yeah.
It's sad, and I'm not saying I'm blaming breeders, but there's got to be something structural to it, or maybe are we asking more of our dogs? Like the pointer's been a high-powered competitive dog like forever. Like Westminster, the emblem at Westminster is a pointer, right? I mean, those are the first dogs that were judged there.
I think we just hear about it more because of the internet. I think that it's been happening for a long time, and I think that forever, I think, a dog would go lame and some people just either let it sit in the kennel for 6 months during the off season, then take it back out or whatever. But I think that it's getting diagnosed more for sure.
Yeah. And that's Dr. Dunbar said the same thing. And I asked him because he's so well known and he's doing, a handful of them every single day. I said, are you seeing more of them? Or he goes, I just think people know more about me, so I'm getting more of them. But he doesn't feel like Bob, it's just we're hearing more about it. They're able to come back from it. I just trained with a dog that had it done a year ago, and other than her being 10 years old, you couldn't have told she had it. So if you follow that rehab, and the jury's still out on it if it's genetic or not. That's part of it, but that's probably not the main reason. And he said it's like a rubber band. Every little jump out of the truck, every little twist, little tweak here and there, all of a sudden that last tweak snaps that rubber band.
I'll tell you that I started lifting my dogs off the tailgate. My oldest dog, Rusty, 2 years ago when we were down here in Arizona, he jumped off of a rock like coming down this wash, and he landed and he kind of whimpered for a second and he kept on going. And when we got home, he was carrying that back leg, and I took him in and got an MRI done. He had a partial tear there, and they're like, well, he's 8, you can get the surgery done. It's going to be a year. Then you got to rehab, a 9-year-old dog at that point. They said, it's only a partial, are over and you'll probably be okay. And that's what I did. And he's okay. It changed his gait though, which is kind of odd.
Well, my buddy Roof, who did not come on tonight as usual, when I had a dog that had that, he says, you got to realize, Ron, most of the NFL played with torn ACLs through the 60s and 70s. So maybe it's not a big deal. All right. So I love going into rabbit holes because that's what people like. Number 3, our third question. Per capita, what state in the United States has the most residents with a paid hunting license? This is not a multiple choice. What state in the union has the most percentage of residents with a paid hunting license? I'll give you a little time to think about it. Heather, do not be Googling anything for Trent.
I would never help.
Yeah, she was not going to help me.
You're right. I'm funny with both of you. She would never help.
You know what I'd have to Google? What per capita means. Per person.
Bob. Okay, let's break this down for Bob. Bob, if all the states had 100 residents, what state would have the most out of 100?
All right.
10 out of 100, 20 out of 100, 30. Jesus, I no wonder why he missed last week's invitation.
That's right.
All right. Let's see some answers. Texas, California, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and is that Alaska?
Alaska. Everybody's got a hunting license in Alaska.
Yeah, but there's 7 people that live there, Trent.
Per capita.
That's what I was asking for per capita.
And we do have a correct answer in the room, and it's Ben Brennington with South Dakota.
Come on, Ben. What the heck?
That's part of my job, guys. It's
We got a ringer in the group.
He's got that Onyx research group over there just handing them answers.
Yeah,
It's probably on one of the Onyx layers.
That was a gimme. That was a layup.
I told everybody not to Google, but I didn't tell anybody they couldn't use Onyx.
Ron, do you know which state has the most hunting licenses sold?
No, I didn't look that up.
Texas.
Look that up. I would imagine.
Texas, I believe.
It's Texas.
Yeah.
I should get half a point. Half a point.
That's like kissing your sister.
Okay, Heather, put Bob down for 0.05.
And then also, Ron, mute Ben for the next question, please.
Okay, all right. Thanks, man. That's good. All right. This is a bird question, not an upland bird. That's your hint, okay? Because if you think this is an upland bird, you've obviously never shot any. Out of all the birds in the whole globe, certain birds fly at certain elevations, certain altitudes while they're migrating. All right? One of these birds is a bird that you, me, or somebody may have shot before. What bird that we would hunt is in the top 10, and there's only one, well, let's be honest, it's a waterfowl bird. There's only one bird that is in the top 10 of all birds around the globe when it comes to what altitude they fly at. What bird is that?
It's the highest?
Yeah, like the highest bird?
It's in the top 10. So the top 10 birds, there's albatross, California condor, blah, blah, blah. But there's one bird that we would probably all have pursued in our life. It fits into the top 10. Or I will say one waterfowl bird. Okay. It's obvious because if Tyler says sharptail, we're done.
Yeah, no. God, this isn't a multiple choice. I thought you said this is going to be multiple choice. God dang it.
No.
And Tyler would probably take it down at the highest elevation with his 410.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's why I wasn't going to the highest bird a bird to be shot at. That's
Sure.
I stayed away from that one.
I did see a pheasant clear the tippy top of like one of the big power lines out west this year.
Okay, Trent, little hint. It's not the upland world. It's
not a pheasant.
I know. But I'm telling you, an upland bird that did.
All right, we have snow goose, swan, teal, snow goose, coots. They can
Damn
barely
right.
get off the water.
Yeah, but have you ever seen one flying? No, because they fly way the hell up there.
Up there.
They only fly at night.
Again, Heather, we have no correct answers.
I was going to say Sandhill cranes because they fly really high
the
too.
mallard duck.
No.
Really?
Mallard duck at 21,000 feet. What?
Wow.
That, ladies and
And
gentlemen.
someone in Arkansas would shoot at it.
Well, it's because it was sky blasted at all the way from Canada.
True.
And it just kept climbing and climbing. And it was, I think, flight 1739 out of Minneapolis saw it going by the window and they recorded it. Yeah. You cannot fact check any of my questions. It is impossible. And it's also irrelevant. Okay. Now, wait, I need a cigar. Where's my little cigars? This next question has to do with one of the 5 verticals of the Hunting Dog podcast, which is tobacco. And very appropriate that I need a little cigar right now. Okay. I want you to tell me what the last presidential administration that looked favorably on cigar smoking. The last presidential administration that looked favorably on cigar smoking. This president was known to enjoy a cigar with guests after official dinners. Your choices are
Oh, thank God.
The choices are Theodore Roosevelt, Bill Clinton, JFK, or Richard Nixon. The last presidential administration that looked favorably on cigar smoking. And he was known to enjoy a cigar with his guests after official dinners.
What were the four again?
Richard Nixon, John F. Kennedy, Bill Clinton, Theodore Roosevelt. Doom, 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 doom. I know why you're picking that, Bob.
Hey, baby. He liked to party.
Clinton. Oh, you guys are you're confusing. All right. Heather, please make a note that none of our esteemed guests know anything. Anything. This all right. You're all confusing the fact that and this is a fact, during the Clinton administration, smoking was banned and all ashtrays were moved.
That doesn't mean he didn't smoke cigars.
Yeah.
I could have swore I remember seeing a visual of him puffing on a big cigar.
You're
playing his saxophone.
Yeah.
I don't think you can play saxophone and smoke a cigar at the same time, Bob, but maybe.
He did a lot of things, buddy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If there's anyone that could do it, it would be Bill Clinton.
But think about it. He's probably
JFK?
He's probably the reason they did get rid of the ashtrays.
True.
I remember
What
the
was the right
JFK.
answer?
I remember the JFK. He the day before the Cuban embargo, he bought like 2 boxes of Cuban cigars. I remember that.
I've got some data here. So the answer is Richard Nixon. He was it was the last administration where it was very acceptable to light up a cigar in the White House at a dinner and have all that stuff. JFK, his secretary rounded up 1,200 Cuban cigars that he liked, the brand he liked, right before he signed the embargo, right after his Secretary of State imported the cigars from Cuba.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Bill Clinton, well, the smoking was just banned and the ashtrays were removed just because they just couldn't handle that press anymore. And Theodore Roosevelt, his father, because he was asthmatic, his father had him smoke cigars as young as age 8. Because
solid parenting right there.
Back in the 1800s, they thought that was actually therapeutic. The smoking for your lungs. Yeah. And look at
it is.
And Ron, would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Living high on the hog still.
So he's like 27 years old and look at him.
Look at him. Hey, Ben, don't kid yourself. I go to the gas station and they card me for alcohol and cigars. Right.
No, they go, hey, Ron, you're back again?
There's no way anybody is carding you.
No, it could be because the gas stations near me got busted for selling to underage kids. I'm not saying. But anyway, Heather, can we get a scoreboard update after 5 minutes?
Pretty weak one.
Yeah.
So we have Ben in the lead with 2, and then Travis is on the board with 1, and Bob with a half. I'm slow, so the second half.
All right, that's it. My God, we've had some dummies on this show before. Well, we're setting a new one. All right. Now, in our 5 verticals, one of the other ones is alcohol. And this goes back to presidents, but you will be multiple choice. Which president died of cirrhosis of the liver?
That shouldn't be funny, but it is.
It is. All right. And I'm going to read you things from their past to help you parse this out, because I know none of you know what the hell I'm talking about. There's one president that died from cirrhosis of the liver. A, Martin Van Buren drank so much whiskey that he earned the nickname Blue Whiskey Van Buren. B, Franklin Pierce, who said, "What can an ex-president do except get drunk?" C, Thomas Jefferson, whose wine purchases almost brought him to the brink of financial ruin. Or D, Chester A. Arthur, during the temperance movement said, "What I do in my private life is my own damn business." So you got Martin Van Buren, who drank so much whiskey that they called him Blue Whiskey Van Buren. Franklin Pierce, who said, "What can an ex-president do except get drunk?" Thomas Jefferson, who almost ruined himself with purchases of wine. Or Chester A. Arthur, during the temperance movement said, "What I do in my private life is my own damn business."
Is there anybody else on here that only knew one of those presidents? Thomas Jefferson? Never even heard of the other guys.
I've heard of Chester A. Arthur, but I was like, was Van Buren president?
Could have just made up names.
This is a history presidential question more than a drinking question.
No, I
think Ron made this up.
No, I
also
think
wasn't Ulysses S. Grant like the most famous boozer of all the presidents?
No, he was the worst cigar smoker, up to 20 a day, and he died of esophageal cancer from cigar.
Okay.
Well, he should have been on the last question then.
No, because it was what presidential administration was the last one to look favorably on it. Before that, cigars and cigarettes were like normal in the White House.
So they all looked favorably on it until.
Yes. You got, you lead too clean a life, Travis.
I'm just making notes. I'm just learning so much from you tonight, Ron.
And that's what I want the listeners to do. All right.
Just D.
Just D.
D. We have Van Buren for Trent. We have D, which is
Arthur.
Hey, Arthur. Pierce, which is Travis's. Van Buren, and Chester Arthur. The answer, we have a correct answer on the board, is B, Franklin Pierce.
Ooh.
Woo! Who died at age of 65 years old from cirrhosis of the liver.
I want to know, Travis.
65 is a pretty good run back then.
Yeah. That means I'm done because I just turned 65.
Was that a guess, Travis, or did you know that?
That was 100% a guess, my good man. I figured if Jefferson died of that, we would have heard about it. So I ruled him out.
Right.
And yeah, I just guessed from the other three.
See?
I took the old approach from high school, just always pick D. D across the board.
Right. Just like D.
Yeah.
I thought it was C. That was the one that you needed to guess.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be C.
It's supposed to be C. Okay.
You screwed that up.
Now, staying with the theme of our competing podcast trivia, which we know was mooched from us, and it's not even legit. There's always a question that leads someone in my category, that might be a softball question for some. Okay. And we all know that Bob has a lot of Labradors. Okay.
Don't get it wrong.
Okay. Don't get it wrong, Bob.
No pressure.
Your listeners will also listen to this. All right. Which breed of dog was not used in the creation of the Labrador Retriever? And I will give you 4 dogs. Which breed of dog was not used in the Labrador Retriever? Bloodhound, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia Duck Tolling, or Bernese Mountain Dog. One of those dogs was not used in the creation of the Labrador. A, Bloodhound, B, Newfoundland, C, Nova Scotia Duck Tolling, and D, Bernese Mountain Dog. Wow.
Huh.
All right. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Time is up. We have a D, Bernese Mountain Dog. Bob with Toller, Bernese Mountain Dog, Bloodhound, Duck Toller. We have Trent and Travis on the board, or I'm sorry, Trent and Bob on the board with Nova Scotia duck tolling dog was not you.
Ooh.
I was happy to see I had the same answer as Bob.
Beautiful. I've trained a few of these, and there's no way they're in a Labrador.
Now, on that subject, Bob, that breed, like I bet you all of us are kind of like, huh? You know, we've all read the articles. There's been articles in Gun Dog, and you know,
This is as it goes.
have you ever seen one of these dogs actually do the description of what they're supposed to like? Why would a duck like find this attractive? I don't get it. Give me a little.
Sure. Yeah, a little bit of background. So the tolling is basically they would throw like a rock or a ball or something out on the shoreline. The dogs would run and chase it and play, and the ducks would get curious. Why they're not curious when I'm out duck hunting, I don't know, but they would get curious and come close enough to be shot at. And the tollers have their own field trial, if you will. And one of the things they have to do is show this ability to basically go play fetch and then do a retrieve. So they're still trying to keep that breed standard there and their original purpose there, being playful and giddy and bouncing around on the shoreline. But yeah, I've trained a few, and if you know, there's no more in the kennel.
All right, Greg, who in Purina pays attention to who's in charge of the duck tollers?
That would be Ray.
Yeah, Mr. Ray Vogt.
Yeah, I'm sure he's the same as Bob.
How's like the timeline go? Like lab and duck tollers, like what breed is like the oldest, or what like came first, or did one come from the other, or?
Yeah.
I would have to think the toller came late. I'm guessing though. I don't know.
That was my guess, but I don't know.
I don't know the answer. Don't make it a trivia question.
I won't make that a truth. But I thought when I looked at that, I was like, you know what? I would think it took any dog to make any dog. And even before I knew the answer, because somebody wrote me this question, I would have picked Nova Scotia because it's like, it's so not lab-like.
Yeah, their coats are so different. Their proportions are so different.
Yeah.
Well, so are bloodhounds, though.
Yeah,
Bloodhounds are enormous.
Yeah, but I figured they're getting their nose from the
Right.
bloodhound.
You got to remember, everything got some bloodhound in it at some point,
Yeah.
right?
So Bob, what are the breeds that got us to where we are with the labs?
Apparently, a bloodhound. I knew the
Bernese Mountain Dog.
I did not know the Bernese, so I was surprised, and that was going to be my second guess. But I knew the Newfoundland was one of them. I thought bloodhound. I thought pointer. Again, bringing in the nose factor, the coat from the Newfoundland. So that would have been, those would have been my guesses.
I got a lab question for Bob too. I don't know what magazine I read this in years ago, but the shape of the eye of the Labrador, the Chessie, and I'm using just like it's more round as opposed to oval. Have you ever heard anything about their ability to mark is just innately better because of the shape of their eye? Have you ever heard anything like that?
I haven't. Truthfully, I haven't. So
I just wondered if you ever did. I read that somewhere, and it's always
Right.
stuck in my head.
I mean, they are being bred to mark birds.
So maybe that's because they've always been more of a specialist. You know, I don't know if it's a rod and cone things or the shape of the eye, but there's obviously something to the marking ability of the dog for sure.
Absolutely, and I would say even
can't mark beyond 50 yards.
yeah. So have I.
Or hunt beyond 50.
That were Labradors. So, I think like their original purpose wasn't to bring waterfowl back. So that's kind of another thought process, right? Like they were bringing nets back for the fishermen and camaraderie on the boat. But then it developed into waterfowl.
Go to the Newfoundlands and the Bernese, like they're more working dog than a hunting dog. Yeah.
And
I
can
gotta-
withstand cold temps.
I've got a question that's kind of on this topic, not really, but I'm curious about it because I keep hearing this number thrown around a lot. that a dog can smell 10,000 times better than a human? Is
I
that,
heard it was more than that even.
is
but-
it more than that? Or is there a certain breed that you know of that can smell even higher than that? Or what is the number that you know of?
I'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
Pull some Google.
The pointer actually smells the best. I mean, if you just want to ask, so.
Well,
Amen to that.
okay, now here's a question with nose. Now, Greg is familiar with all the testing organizations. And so I'm going to ask Greg, when they make a note on a field trial scorecard, right? When the judge has a notepad, you're familiar with the NAVDA scorecard. Our scorecard, we read the score off as nose 4, nose 3, well, we'd hardly ever see a 2 or a 1. But on our scorecard, it's use of nose. How do they do that? Do they go into that minutia with field trials, or is it just they know it's the use of the nose, but they don't say?
No, they're thinking about that nose. I mean, obviously, we're not keeping a scorecard or giving them a number. But for instance, you'll see it on a relocation. So if a dog's pointed, he knows he can't move. You can't produce a bird. You tap him on the head. If that dog zigzag and zigzag and zigzag and zigzag and eventually finds it, versus the dog that's got it, switches his head and goes right to it, you know he's got a good nose. He's going to be a good relocator. Or if a dog consistently has 4 finds and his nose 5 feet away from the birds, that might be a deciding factor. But you're always thinking about, for breeding prospects, does he have a good nose or she?
Right. And that is truly the use of the nose, not, it's almost like you can't say the quality of the nose because they can all pick up a chip of a piece of bread on the carpet, right? But
well, you can see the quality of a nose. If they talk about it, does he have a good nose? Is it a long nose or short? Is that dog always 10 yards off his birds? Or is that dog always right on top of it?
Yeah.
You know, and so
yeah.
All right, so
that dog a lot.
So I've got the list here, and it says dogs have 220 million or more olfactory receptors compared to a puny 5 million in humans.
Yeah.
So fun fact. Number 10 is the pointer. Number 9 is the German short hair. 8 is the coon hound.
There we go.
7 is the Springer Spaniel.
Oh, we lost Bob for a second. Oh, let's get you back. It was so interesting.
6 is the Belgian Malinois. 5. All right, I'm on 4, the German Shepherd. 3, Beagle.
Bloodhound's got to be number 1.
Hear me.
Now, well, not good.
Number Bloodhound.
Bloodhound.
I'll write it down.
Yeah. Well,
Bloodhound is number 1.
so that's where I go to the Broncos.
Did you know that humans can smell actually 10 times better than a Bronco can?
You won.
I was trying not to let that fact. That was actually the tiebreaker question, Ben. I love you. All right. Wait a minute. We need we'll do one more question, then we'll need a scoreboard update from Vanna. All right. This should be, I'd like to think that all of you could get this correct. And this is not multiple choice. How many breeds of setters are there recognized in the AKC? How many breeds are recognized and what are they in the AKC of setters?
And what are they?
And what are they?
Oh, and what are they?
Yeah.
So we got to write them all down.
We got to write them down. I will accept the dummy who's got the most correct answers as a correct answer, though. There are 4 breeds of setters recognized in the American Kennel Club.
Wait, you just said, okay.
4 breeds of setters. I could ask you how much they weigh because I have that data too, but I won't do that to you because everybody knows somebody who's got a fat one. So that's no good. Four breeds of setters recognized by the American Kennel Club. I think that's plenty of time for most of you dum-dums. We have English, Gordon, Irish, and
Llewellyn.
no, English,
I only-
Gordon, red setter, English, Gordon, Irish, English, red and white, Irish, Gordon, Irish.
Oh, wow.
Wait. English, Irish, Gordon, Llewellyn. Llewellyn is not a.
I didn't think so either. I thought there was only 3.
Brent, what was yours?
Oh, I only came up with 2, the English and the Irish. Forgot about the Gordons and.
It is the Irish, red and white. Oh!
Oh,
Wait a minute, I have to have a Vanna. You have to give me a thing. Did Greg get that answer in before I asked him?
you have to speak up.
No.
I had Llewellyn.
Okay. Okay. The Irish, red and white, the Gordon, English, and Irish. The Llewellyn and Bob. Bob takes that one in with the
lab guy.
answer.
The lab guy, baby. I got an English setter too, though.
Oh, yeah.
I know you do. I know you do. And I know a guy who watches a lot of setters in the field. I thought he would have known that answer.
I just don't get how they can register a red and white.
I don't
Well,
either.
But then they got those, the ascots? Any other
Any color but
than-
besides black.
yeah, I'm like,
You know, if I asked you guys the question like how many lines of setter are, you know, I mean, you'd have all kinds of them, you know, and Llewellyn.
and that's basically the Llewellyn
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
in English.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean,
See,
there's like,
I always thought there was only 3. I don't even count the Llewellyn at all. Just Gordon,
No.
Irish, and English.
don't you have more than 3 at your own house, Tyler?
Yeah, but they're all English.
they bred together.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But that's,
Oh,
you know,
somebody could have came up with poinsettia.
I was gonna say poinsettia. I mean,
Yeah.
All right,
there's one there.
Vanna, where are we at with our scoreboard right now?
So we're waiting on Tyler and Greg. We have a predicament because we have Travis and Ben with 2, but Bob has 2.5.
That's not a predicament at all. That's not a predicament at all.
It's a predicament.
That's not a predicament.
Okay. So our best so far, who's got 2? Bob and who else?
Travis and Ben.
Ben and Travis.
Ben, Travis, and Bob are at 2. You know, I hope you guys never get invited to the Meat Eater podcast for trivia. you guys.
We won't. Let's get real. We won't.
Today.
I warned you.
All right.
Yeah, I got 5 out of 10 on that today. I only got 1 on yours.
Well, because I put more thought into my questions. I don't ask what's the main ingredient in a recipe, you know, when you're cooking something. That's just
Salt.
stupid.
Deer.
Here, yeah. All right. Our 9th question. Of the 48 contiguous states, and for Bob, that means not Alaska and Hawaii. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I want to give that to you. Okay. The other 48 states. This is according to the eBird observations survey between 2017 and 2022 of the lower 48, as we refer to them. 48 states have not recorded a sighting of an American woodcock. And it's multiple choice because I know you'd be thinking way too hard about this. But of the 48 states with eBird observations, the answers are A3, B6, C8, and D1. How many of the lower 48 have never recorded a sighting of the American woodcock? A, 3 states, B, 6 states, C, 8 states, D, 1 state. And I will tell you from personal observations, these numbers are grouped up for a reason. Woodcock get to a lot of states
But you said out of the 48 who have that eBird survey. So how many actually have that survey?
I have shot a lot of birds from eBird scouting. I'll just tell you that right now.
All the states. I didn't write down all the numbers, but I have a number for each the top.
Okay.
The lowest, like the lowest 4. But what state? How many states have not recorded? So my question is, do you think it's 3 states have not recorded it? 6 states have not recorded it? 8 states or 1 state? We have a 3, a 1, a 6, a 1. What is B? Oh, so you just went with B. Okay, B and 3. Trent, you are on the board with.
I am too.
That was Tyler.
And Tyler. Sorry, I didn't see that. Heather, keep track of that. So Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, California, Utah have never had between 2017 and 2022 have never had a sighting of an American woodcock.
They haven't hunted hard enough.
Just a little pro tip for you guys. If you guys are looking for ptarmigan in any of the states in the lower 48 or Mearns quail, eBird's a really nice.
Pal, easy. Hold on. Easy.
Just saying.
Calm down there, pal.
Wait a minute. Ben,
Put
do
him
we have
on mute. Put him on mute.
You know, Ron doesn't do any editing on this.
No editing whatsoever.
Pro tip right there. Just saying, worth the money.
I think the newest layers to Onyx should be what states you see woodcock in, and
not a chance in hell.
All right. So, all right. Our last question, boy, this is, I think almost everybody's in the running.
No.
Oh, no, Craig's not in the running.
I told you before. Do I get bonus for this one?
All right. This is a gun question. Okay. This is a gun question. Now, geez, everybody should know. You're all old enough to know this question. The Remington 1100 auto-loading shotgun, engineered by Wayne Leake. 4.5 million of these guns in multiple gauges, in multiple, forever and a day. How many models were there? Now that means, short stock, short barrel. That means, it doesn't mean gauges, but the gun was produced. 4.5 million of them were produced in multiple gauges. In fact, they were produced in all popular gauges. But how many models did they have? The waterfowl model, the trench gun model, the whatever model, the home defense model. Okay. Here's your multiple choice, because I know you guys are like, duh. Okay. A, 9, B, 25, C, 18, or D, 32. How many models did they produce the Remington 1100 in? A, 9 models, B, 25 models, C, 18 models, or D, 32 models. Do. All right, what does Travis say? Travis says C, 18 models. A, 9 models. I can't see Ben's. 32 models. 25 for Bob, 18 for Greg, and 18 for Trent. We do have a correct answer in the room. It's B, 25 models.
Oh.
Holy shite.
Yeah. I don't know anything.
God, it's just like high school all over again.
100%. College degree, baby. Right there.
So, Heather, what can we get for a scoreboard update on our 10 questions?
So we had, Greg was last. He wasn't on the board. We had, going into the last question, we had a 4-way tie with 2 points between Travis, Ben, Trent, and Bob, but the lab guy pulled it off.
All right.
Well done. Well done.
Oh,
It's the last time I get invited.
No, Ben's back.
Ben is still has 2 titles in the Hunting Dog Podcast Trivia, so he will be back. And he's also, hey, look, he's willing to do this from the hospital room with his brand new baby.
Oh
So
yeah, that was wild.
I know.
Yeah,
Ben
you had to ask the nurse for a paper or plates or something to write on.
No, it was a throwaway toilet seat or something like that.
Amazingly, between feeding his newborn, he went out and shot that pheasant hanging over behind his shoulder too.
Yeah.
Well, that's just Ben.
Yeah.
There was a tiebreaker question. Let's just see if anybody could get this right. But we already know Bob won the trivia. So Remington 1100, developed by Wayne Leake, 4.5 million of them were sold in multiple gauges, and we now know 25 different models. What year did the Remington 1100 come out in?
We just have to guess the year.
Just guess the year. Closest guess. What year did the Remington 1100 come out in? Come on, I'm rooting for you, Greg. You're almost my age.
No, this
Travis
is
is 64, Bob 65, 48 for Tyler. That's 42, 53, 61. The answer is 1963.
Oh,
Dang.
So
How did
Travis,
Good year for Remington, bad year for JFK.
oh.
Zing.
Do I get closest, or did I lose because I
you
went
get
over?
closest. Well, yeah, you get closest, Travis. So you're like, you will be invited back on the next trivia game.
That's all I care about. Best Christmas present ever.
How was Trav? Real quick, how was your season, Trav?
Oh, it was awesome. It was amazing, actually. Yeah, I feel like everywhere we went, there was just a lot of birds and a good variety. I actually went out just before we recorded this, not far from my house, for the first time this year, and there's a blizzard going on right now. But I don't know how a dog can smell a bird 1.5 feet under the snow. But
It's
that's what
cool,
she
though.
did. She went on point. I had a 100-yard walk through snow over my knees which I know I'm not that tall, so ankle deep for you guys. But whatever.
6-inch snow.
By the time I got there, and a big old rooster comes right out of 1.5 feet of snow, and I'm just like, oh.
Did you miss it? Be honest.
I got it.
Did you
one
really?
shot. Yeah, one shot. And then she goes and picks it up, and I'm like, that's fine, because the cattails are miserable right now. That might be the last pheasant I try to go after.
Oh God! How about you, Ben?
There's proof right there.
Look,
There you go. Oh boy.
Yeah.
how about your season, Ben? Pretty good.
It was great. I had a fantastic year. Just kind of wrapped up 22 in Oregon, which was ridiculous. That was awesome. First time trucker hunting, and getting ready to hit the road again in 23.
Sweet. Bob, how about you? Did you just train or did you get to hunt a little bit?
No, man. And I took December and January off, and I've hunted the most I've hunted in a long time. It's been great. Yeah, it's been really fun.
How about Greg? I know you're busy. Did you get to chase something?
Oh, sure. Yeah, beginning of September. Well, actually, middle of September, sharptails and huns in North Dakota, and then grouse in Wisconsin in October. And I just got done doing some training down in Indiana on some quail. So it's been really good.
Oh,
Nice.
Got some young dogs. Looking forward to it.
Trent, I know Trent and I, we text every other day. So he's knocking ducks down. He's knocking birds down. But, and we also went to North Dakota this year. So I kind of know your answer. One of your best years ever.
Yeah. We started out in North Dakota, sharptails and huns, and we were out there for a week, and that was fantastic and great. We come back here and hit the grouse and woodcock hard, and then I also do the ducks on the side, ducks in the morning, and we went back out for pheasants and contemplating a January quail hunt. So
nice. And you're the only one here whose wife actually hunts with them.
Nice.
Yep.
I mean, hardcore. Heather and Trent were out in North Dakota with me, and other than Heather and I get along better than Trent and Heather do, because we like to do a little antiquing and poking around and looking at, grouse
I
nests
literally
on the
put
ground.
them together we split dogs up, and I put Heather and Ron together and Bill and I together. I told Bill, I'm putting them together because they're gonna stop and look at flowers and shit and like. Yeah, you did, but they spent 10 minutes one time. Bill and I are standing there watching these, and we can see their camera out and like peeling back and taking pictures of roosts and shit. And Bill and I just standing there shaking our heads like this is exactly we knew what would happen.
Anyway, Heather and I knocked them down anyway. Doesn't matter. And Tyler, we know you're still hunting. Everybody else is sitting in their houses and man caves, but you're down in Arizona. How's down there?
I had my best Mearns quail hunt ever on Saturday. We had a 15 covey day in 5 hours, something like that. 3 of us all got our limit. We killed 24 Mearns quail on Saturday.
Left.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it took my buddy Wade Zerlingo from the Arizona Game and Fish Department. This is how many birds we ran into. It took him 31 shells to kill 8 birds. So there was a lot of content, a lot of contacts.
So besides your GoPro on your head, which we also call the Blair Witch Project, okay,
whatever, that's fine.
Between friends, okay, because if you could just edit it down to the good stuff, I'd watch it. I'd watch it twice. But did you get Wade Zorlingo missing a bunch of birds on your head cam?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've already sent him. I've sent him all those videos, and they're going to be posted. I even posted a video of me missing a covey rise. Doesn't happen very often. I know. I had to, like, everybody always complains that I only post videos of me hitting birds, and it's like, well, I don't miss all that often, but I flat whiffed on a full covey. Well, I could see one bird running on the ground, and I was focused on that bird, and then like 10 more came up all around me. No birds were injured in the making of that particular clip.
I told people on the last Zoom room, Tyler, I hunted with Connor Mullenheim. I always get his name mixed. He's a patron of mine in eastern South Dakota, and me and Roof stayed at his house for a day, hunted with him for an afternoon and a morning. And after hunting with him, I said, I got to put you and Tyler in the same field together, because it was like, I'm never mad because, especially pheasant hunting, we're knocking birds down. But South Dakota is truly party hunting. I mean, you can hunt, you can shoot more than your limit, right?
Right.
And this guy was like, just like, could you just give us a second? Could you just give us a second?
He's probably shooting one of those Savage 12 gauges though. That, I mean, you could just look at a bird and throw a shell at him and kill him with that.
Well, he's shooting a 20 gauge.
Oh, okay.
But the only difference is you didn't do all the sub gauges until CZ started giving them to you. Because I hunted.
I had that 28 gauge before that.
I every time I hunted with you was that damn old dirty auto loader of yours.
The only time that thing broke was the first time I cleaned it. 20,000 rounds through that gun. First time I cleaned it broke.
So I've got, at some point I got to put you and Connor together, but it can't go to fisticuffs. But
no, it's probably not.
It's gonna be exciting, because it'll be like, you'll have to look over and see who broke their gun open and whose shells kicked out.
I know that you guys were talking about Trent was talking about wanting to go and do a quail hunt someplace. I'll tell you that Northeast Kansas is pretty darn good this year. I had my best hunt ever in Kansas this year, and it was good.
I seen you were there, and that's honestly where I've been contemplating. And I was looking at Southwest Iowa, but then everything I read from there was not great. So
yeah, no, it was pretty good. We moved quail and pheasants every day.
Probably more access in Kansas with the WEHA, right?
Yeah, we found birds on Weehaw, and we also knocked on some doors and got permission on private stuff too.
Nice.
Pretty easy, yeah. And there was a good number of pheasants. The first day I was out with 3 other guys, and I think we got 16 or 17 bobwhites and 8 pheasants. That was pretty good. I was like, shit, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
You have to take it off your kicks my ass list normally then. So
yeah. This year I didn't. I'm not even close, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Is that the first year then that you got a bird in Kansas, Tyler?
No. I've always got birds, but the first time I went down there, we hunted for 5 days, put on 10 plus miles every day, and we found 1 covey of bobwhites, and I think like 9 pheasants is all we've seen total. We shot more Eurasian collared doves the first year than we shot pheasants or quail. I think in 5 days between 4 of us, I think we got like 4 quail, 1 pheasant, like 7 collared doves. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you go to a different area than this year? Or are you just saying that the bird numbers in that same area are now up?
The first year I went to Northwest Kansas, and I called the Game and Fish and did a little bit of research, and sounded like it was supposed to be okay, but they got smoked by a drought. And then I started kind of going to North Central Kansas, and have had kind of mixed success. Like if you walk, you'll find some birds. This is the first time I've actually hunted as far east as I did this year. But
yeah, that whole
it was
belt on that east side got a lot more moisture too, which is kind of what Iowa got into as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Greg, the big Grand Junction field trial, the big one.
Yeah.
Is that at the same time Pheasant Fest is going on?
It starts, the Hall of Fame inductions start the weekend of February 10th or 11th.
Okay.
And then the second Tuesday of every February is the national championship at Grand Junction at Ames.
So I got to be at Pheasants. God dang it.
Yeah. So that team always leaves, and I stay there and ride a couple days, and they always head to Pheasant Fest.
Yeah. So last year would have been my year. I know Ben you went down there, didn't you?
Ben was there last year with me. Yeah, for a couple
I hung around with Greg last year. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to Bob St. Pierre the other day, and he said that next year in Pierre, South Dakota, it's not going to be until the first week of March. So you can go Pheasant Fest will be in March next year, he said.
Then Greg, I gotta count on you for 2024. Then I gotta go riding that thing.
Well, Lord willing, I'll still be here doing the same thing. I wouldn't be remiss by saying you had a reference to Blair Witch Project. So this dog right here, that's his registered name, Blair's Witch Project, because his daddy is Grouse Feather Witch Doctor. That was like a gimme. So when I get the dog, the movie, and he bounces all over the place like that camera was in that movie. And now he's the one that's laying right here, the 4-time champion, torn ACL. So it was a good circle. But yeah, I'll get you a horse. I'll put you on one for 3. You might want to practice come December, January. Get on those pony rides. So I'm
going to come with a camera and film Ron on that horse.
Travis, let's do it.
That'll make good content.
Yeah.
Giddy up.
I'm telling you, I used to own horses. I told Greg that. I just didn't happen to know that horses knew when you were scared of them. So
yep. That's my wife's. She says that horses sense her fear and she won't go near them. Right. I tell you, you can own horses all you want, but when they got a brain the size of a marble, you don't trust them. So,
but a good trail horse you can deal with, right? I mean, they could still kind of.
He just went like, man.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like I have like a bravado conscious, but then there's that. It'd be like getting in a fight in a bar, like. Come on, yeah. But the third come on, I might go like, ooh, he's serious.
Yeah, no.
So if it's a horse that's only good for 2 come-ons, I can handle them.
No, we'll find you one that's called a deadhead plantation horse and just sits there. You might be in the back after 3 hours and we'll all be at the front, but you'll be safe.
All right. We're going to count on that. Well, whoever's at Pheasant Fest, I'll see you guys. Thanks for coming on, everybody. It's been fun, and love y'all. Have a great Christmas and a great
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
See ya.